was the first Monday Night Raw of 2024, and it was also the first Raw of the post-Kevin Dunn era. As of 12 a.m. or 12:01 a.m. midnight, Kevin Dunn no longer with WWE. There was an internal memo that went around to make it official, to let everybody in the company know. So this is the start of a new era, and it was also a sold-out show in San Diego. I mentioned last night on the New Year's Eve stream, there was one seat left for the show, and it's like a random rogue seat in some section. One seat, one premium seat is all they had left, and it got sold. So they were a legitimate sellout tonight in San Diego, and for days now, they had been teasing that a former WWE champion would be making an appearance on tonight's episode of the show. Fightful first reported it several days ago. Triple H then acknowledged the report, which is something he never does, and said, well, you can't verify it, but you should tune into Raw on Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, day one. It's going to be a big night. And then we saw earlier today, it just so happened that Rock was a guest. The Rock was on College Game Day with Pat McAfee in Pasadena. They were in San Diego, so only a few hours away. The last time The Rock made a special appearance on College Game Day with Pat McAfee, SmackDown was not that far away, and he popped up, both of them did, as a surprise on SmackDown that night. And it got a huge reaction because it was the first time we saw The Rock on WWE television in something like 4 years. And it was a huge moment, right? He had that segment with Austin Theory, and everybody lost their mind. Pat McAfee was a little occupied tonight. He was doing a football commentary, so he was not available. But it looked like, okay, we kind of got a little bit of a sense there of who this former WWE champion was probably going to be. And if you guessed that it was going to be Jinder Mahal, you win the prize. Jinder Mahal came out, the former WWE champion, Jinder Mahal. 6 months as champion. Shinsuke Nakamura could not win the title because they had to make Jinder look strong. He's never been the same since. So Jinder Mahal comes out, and he comes down to the ring, and he's, healing on the crowd and saying, you don't like me because I look different and I sound different. And it's this, we've seen this promo a million times. I'm sitting here going, what is this, 1985? And then he's saying the national anthem in Punjabi, and, oh, you're booing your own national anthem, and this was just going on and on. And finally, the music hits, and out comes The Rock. And everybody is elated to see him because it's The Rock, and because they were tired of... Yes, can you feel him, sir? Oh, I could feel it. I could feel the electricity in the air when Rock came out. He had goosebumps on his arms, right? Everybody was so happy to see The Rock. Because at the end of the day, it's The Rock. So of course he's going to get a massive response when he comes out. And I will tell you that The Rock, when I see him now, he walked out there. I mean, he is comically large. He is comically large. The older he gets, the bigger he gets. And normally, that's the way it works for a lot of people in life. The older you get, the bigger you get. But you get bigger in the midsection. Your gut gets bigger. With The Rock, it's like the other parts of his body, the arms, the chest, the shoulders, the traps. This guy comes out, he's as big as I've ever seen him. It's ridiculous. He looks like a cartoon character. The Rock comes down to the ring. And The Rock proceeded to do what The Rock does. He called him an asshole, and he called him a douchebag. He called him everything but a popcorn fart. And he basically came out there to play the role of Mr. America, because Jinder was out there to be the evil foreign menace. He's the evil foreigner. Boo! And here comes The Rock playing Mr. America, talking about the United States, and you can't say bad things about the United States. And even though we have freedom of speech, you can't come out here and say stuff like that without there being consequences for it. Look, I enjoy seeing The Rock when he comes out, because The Rock is a big star. And we don't get to see The Rock very often, so when we actually get to see him, if he comes once every few years, it's fine. The thing about The Rock, though, and I noticed it More so tonight, but I also noticed it in September when he came back and he was in the ring with Austin Theory. On the mic, just doesn't have it the way that he used to. And it's not like a new revelation. It's kind of been that way for a while. But it was really noticeable tonight because he was out there recycling a lot of the same shtick he was using with Austin Theory in September. When he came out on SmackDown and he goes, all right, we're going to do a deal where this side of the arena is going to say, you are. And the other half of the arena is going to say, an asshole. And they went back and forth and he got the people to chant, you are an asshole at Austin Theory. So tonight it was the same thing, only it was douchebag. It was douchebag instead of asshole. Just a retread of the same promo that we saw him cut in September. I think The Rock needs some new material. Or maybe I'm in the minority here because it still works. Maybe that's why he still uses it, because it gets a reaction, right? The people went along with it and they enjoyed chanting douchebag at Jinder Mahal and calling him a douchebag. So that was the gist of the promo itself. I thought the promo itself was pretty fucking lame. And I'm saying get to the punchline already. This is just a retread of what we've already seen him do in the past. Well, what is this? Get to the point. Well, it came at the end, of course. Jinder got laid out. No rock bottom, but he got spine busted. He got ate a people's elbow. And then The Rock picked the microphone back up. And this is the whole point of the promo here, was what came at the very end. And The Rock is telling these people of San Diego, should The Rock, he's hungry. Should he go sit in a booth? Should he go to the bar? I'm thinking, all right, maybe he should go get some In-N-Out burger. Should I sit in a booth? Should I go to the bar? Or maybe I should sit at the head of the table. And that, of course, got a huge reaction from the people in San Diego. They went nuts for that line. That was the money line of the promo. That's the line that's going to have people talking now coming out of this show tonight. And then he closed out the promo, and that was the end of that. We have heard a lot over the past few years about the possibility of there being a match between Roman Reigns and The Rock. Battle of the Bloodline, right? Who is the real head of the table? Who is the real tribal chief? And Rock a few months ago said, well, it was this close to happening at WrestleMania last year, but didn't really say why it didn't happen, right? Oh, we came close, but we couldn't seal the deal. We couldn't close the deal, and so the match didn't happen. And The Rock off and on has been teasing coming back and doing something, or people have been talking about the possibility of Rock coming back and wrestling a match now for years. We have not seen The Rock in a proper match since he lost to John Cena at WrestleMania 29. Okay? Take the 6-second match with Eric Rowan and throw it in the garbage. Okay? Because that doesn't count. 2013 is the last time we saw The Rock in a singles match or any real match on television, on pay-per-view, or anywhere else. Now he's 11 years older. And this is as close as we have ever come to the possibility that we might actually get The Rock and Roman Reigns in an actual match. Because this is the first time it's been acknowledged on television. It's one thing for people online to talk about it and speculate about it, but it's another thing entirely to tease people about it on television and then not deliver. But I'm also old enough to remember when Hulk Hogan came out on this very television show, on the Raw Homecoming show, and teased a match against Stone Cold Steve Austin, which we never got. So just because it happened on television doesn't necessarily mean it's a slam dunk guarantee that it's going to happen. But I would like to think that if he's on television and he's teasing it, he's getting people amped up and getting people excited for it, I would like to think that they have some kind of an actual commitment, and we might actually get the match at some point in the not too distant future. The promo itself, like I said, I thought the promo itself was very, very lame, but it was all about what happened at the end there. And now people are going to be asking questions, what happens now with Cody at WrestleMania? Poor Cody Rhodes, right? Fucked over by the bloodline at WrestleMania last year. This was supposed to be his comeback story, the comeback kid like Rocky in Philadelphia, WrestleMania 40. Cody is going to make the big comeback. and he's going to be able to finally finish his story. And he's going to win the WWE Championship, and he's going to be the man to put down Roman Reigns and end this title run once and for all. And they did a tease for that match only a few months ago on SmackDown. Remember, Cody and Roman came face to face. It was a very brief confrontation, and the people went nuts for it. The people wanted to see that match. That was a glimpse, seemingly, into the future and next year's, at the time, what was going to be next year's, WrestleMania main event. Well, now The Rock is back. And so everything has been turned upside down. Because now the question is, if they're teasing a match with Rock and Roman, well, are they going to do it at WrestleMania? Everything else be damned? Everybody else and other stories be damned. We got The Rock to say yes, finally. So we're going to do the match at WrestleMania 40. Is that the plan here? Is the plan for the match to happen and be for the championship? Because that would be a terrible fucking idea. Who in their right mind would honestly believe that if Rock and Roman stepped in the ring together, that The Rock is going to win the WWE Championship? Who in their right mind thinks it's a good idea, after 3+ years, if it came down to Rock and Roman, to have Rock be the one to walk on in and beat Roman Reigns to win the championship, right? That's not going to happen. That would be a terrible fucking idea. That is not going to happen. My first thought when this was over, honestly, boy, this kind of renders the title match at the Royal Rumble kind of meaningless, doesn't it? I don't know how many people honestly believe Roman was going to lose the belt anyway at the Rumble, but they're setting up a title match for the Royal Rumble. We have a match on SmackDown this week, a triple threat match to crown a #1 contender. All anybody's going to be talking about now is the possibility of Rock and Roman. Now, could there be a situation where Roman Reigns actually does lose the championship at the Rumble to clear the way for him to have a non-title match maybe at WrestleMania with The Rock? Sure. It's possible. It's possible. I don't think it's very likely, but it's possible. The way I look at it, there are 3 ways that they can go with this. Because I do believe that Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns is still the direction for WrestleMania. It should still be the direction for WrestleMania, and I believe that will be the title match on night 2 of WrestleMania. But there are 3 ways they can go with this. There is a pay-per-view coming up before WrestleMania. That is the Elimination Chamber. There were reports in the last couple of weeks, because there was a Freedom of Information request filed, and there were emails from some of the tourism officials down in Australia who were emailing WWE, because they wanted to know if it would be possible to get The Rock to make an appearance at the Elimination Chamber. Now, they didn't say match. All they said was appearance. And I'm thinking we are going to get The Rock making an appearance at Elimination Chamber. But what if it's more than just an appearance? What if he's teasing a Rock-Roman Reigns match, and instead of WrestleMania, the match happens at Elimination Chamber? For the championship, if they want it to be for the championship, and they do the match in Australia. Because they already have 45,000 plus tickets sold for this big stadium show in Perth. This is going to be the biggest Elimination Chamber show they have ever done. It's going to be a big stadium show just like WrestleMania. They could do the match at Elimination Chamber. If the people down there want a big star like Rock, they can hand Rock to them on a silver platter and say, we'll do you one even better. We'll give you The Rock in the ring. And we'll build the Elimination Chamber around The Rock against Roman Reigns. You have that match. You have an actual Elimination Chamber match. Let's say to crown a #1 contender for Roman's title at WrestleMania. Or whoever the champion is. And you got Rhea Ripley on that show too. Because you know Rhea Ripley, being in Australia, whoever she defends her title against, that's going to be a huge match too. That now sets up a massive card for the pay-per-view next month. I think there's a very good possibility that could happen. Now, it's true. It's an international show. And so you're going to have the Elimination Chamber going on at something like 5 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. Is it realistic for them to do Rock and Roman on that show? It may not be. That may not be what WWE has in mind. I see no issue with it. That's where I think the match should happen if it's going to happen. I think that would be a fine place for the match to happen. So that's one option. That's option number 1. This is all, again, predicated on Rock actually agreeing to do a match. Because I will still be shocked if he gets in the ring and does a singles match against Roman Reigns. It looks like it's probably going to happen. I will still be shocked. The way his body fell apart in that last match with John Cena, not wrestling an actual match for 11 years. It should have happened last year if it was going to happen, and it didn't. There was every indication that Rock was never going to get back in the ring for an actual match. Because why wait so long? Then I think back to WrestleMania 38, and it took 19 years, but we got Stone Cold Steve Austin back in the ring in the main event against Kevin Owens. Sometimes things just don't make any sense. Elimination Chamber is one option. Then there's the obvious option, which is WrestleMania 40. The biggest possible marquee match that WWE can do, I admit, is Roman Reigns against The Rock. Right now, at this moment, there is no bigger marquee match that they could do. And typically, WWE would save their big marquee matches for WrestleMania, like they did with Rock and Cena back in 2012 and 2013. When Stone Cold came back, it was at WrestleMania, although that may have had more to do with it being in Dallas than anything else. So it could be the fact that he goes to WrestleMania, wrestles Roman Reigns. Cody has to wait. He has to wait a little bit longer to finish his story. What they have him doing, I have no idea. He's killing time right now. They got him working with Shinsuke Nakamura, which is fine for the time being. They're just killing time until we get to the actual story they have in mind for this guy. You know, he's still one of the top baby faces in the company. He's been able to maintain that popularity despite the way things went down at WrestleMania last year and the feud with Brock Lesnar. Here we are now, almost a year later, almost a year to the very event that he won the Royal Rumble. And Cody Rhodes is still one of the biggest baby faces in the entire company. And are you really going to sacrifice that storyline to do the Rock-Roman match at WrestleMania because it has to happen at WrestleMania? And we'll just push that off for another time. If that's the plan, I hate that idea. I really do. I fucking hate that idea. And I sincerely hope that that is not what Triple H is planning on doing. But there's a third option, too. And I put this to a poll on Twitter instead of doing the usual raw thumbs up, thumbs down. So I put it to you people. I want your opinion, too. What do you think? And I laid out all the options, and we'll check out the results later. There's a third option. Rock came out on television tonight, teased the match, right? Maybe it doesn't happen at Elimination Chamber. Maybe it doesn't happen at WrestleMania. Maybe it's going to happen at SummerSlam. Maybe this was the first tease, and they're going to let it simmer for a while. Roman is going to go to WrestleMania, lose the championship, and then they could do Rock and Roman in a battle for who the real head of the table is at SummerSlam. And you get another big marquee match on the card at SummerSlam in August, and you do the match there. That's also a possibility. Now, all of this depends on Rock. Has he made the commitment? What is his schedule like? He's doing movie stuff. He's doing television stuff. He's doing football stuff. He's been all over the TV this week talking about this XFL, USFL merger. Now it's the UFL. He's got a lot of things going on. He's got a lot of irons in the fire. I don't know what his availability is. Maybe he's not available for SummerSlam or Chamber and it's only Mania. Or maybe it's Chamber and not Mania. I don't know. Again, there are different ways that they could go with this. But again, this whole idea, and I wanted to comment on this, because there are people who are firm in this, that you can't do a Rock match anywhere but WrestleMania. That would be silly. That would be foolish. How can you bring back The Rock and put him in the ring with Roman Reigns and do it anywhere but WrestleMania? I get it. WrestleMania is usually where you have the big marquee matches. But look at how hot WWE is right now. WrestleMania, both nights of WrestleMania, they sold 90,000 tickets in one day. That show is going to be, if it isn't already, that show is going to be sold out. WrestleMania does not need The Rock. There was a point in time where they would have needed The Rock. That's why Vince McMahon kept bringing back as many of the old stars as he could. Kept The Undertaker around. Taped together with fucking gum and duct tape some of those years. WrestleMania right now, I mean, this show is going to do monster business with or without The Rock. It's going to be a gigantic show. It doesn't need him. They are in a very unique position right now where they have a lot of stars on the roster, a lot of baby faces who are over. Cody is only one, right? Seth is over, but you got Cody, you got LA Knight, they got CM Punk back, and the fans have been going crazy for CM Punk, right? He's been a big merch seller and a big ticket mover for them. Randy Orton just came back. Jey Uso got over, I think, in a way that a lot of people never expected him to get over. So they're in a very unique position right now where they're being carried by their own roster. And it's nice. You don't have to rely on The Rock. You don't have to rely on Triple H or The Undertaker or John Cena or Chris Jericho or any of the other guys that in the past they would typically bring back or they would lean on because we need that big name. They have actually made big names out of the people on their own roster. Those are the people that are going to sell WrestleMania this year. You do not need to do the match at WrestleMania. You can, but you don't have to. And it's okay to spread things out a little bit and spread the wealth. And if that means giving a big match to Elimination Chamber, guess what? You're going to have 60,000 people, 70,000 people potentially in Perth. Optus Stadium. It's going to feel like a WrestleMania. Imagine how rabid those fans in Australia are going to be for that show. It's okay to do a match with The Rock at Elimination Chamber. The world will not end. Not every single thing has to revolve around WrestleMania. I actually feel as long as this reign has gone for Roman, that the only appropriate place to do a title change is WrestleMania because he's been the champion for fucking almost 3.5 years. So I actually feel like you got to do the title change at Mania when the time comes to do the title change. But as far as this, again, no, it doesn't have to happen at WrestleMania. WrestleMania is going to do just fine. I don't know where this logic is coming from that it has to be WrestleMania. Especially now with the business they're doing. Main event tonight was for the World Heavyweight Championship. It was Seth Rollins defending his title against Drew McIntyre. And they had a Money in the Bank cash-in tease by Damian Priest, which I could see it coming, and I thought they might actually pull the trigger. I actually thought to shake things up a little bit, we might just get a cash-in when I saw him come down to the ring. Even if he only won the title and held it briefly and lost it at the Royal Rumble, they did a triple threat match with him and Drew and Seth. You could have done something like that. They didn't do it. Seth and Drew went out there. They had the expected very good main event. But they made Damian Priest look like such an idiot when this show was over. Because he tries to cash in Money in the Bank. And he's talking to the referee. And he's about to do the handoff. He gets kicked in the head by Drew McIntyre. And in the end, Drew McIntyre loses, so Seth Rollins retains his title. And then they show Damian Priest getting back up to his feet outside. And you get Michael Cole on commentary going, well, I guess Damian Priest can't cash in, or he's not going to be cashing in Money in the Bank tonight. And I'm like, cash in right now. Seth Rollins just wrestled almost 20 minutes in there. He looks exhausted, right? He's got the bad back. This guy's going to have a bad back for the rest of his career. They're going to wheel him out there when he has his Hall of Fame induction speech. This bad back that will never heal. Why couldn't he just go and cash in right then and there? It just made him look so stupid. Was there a force field blocking him from getting back into the ring? That was fucking dumb. The ending of this show was incredibly stupid. But the main event was very good. Now the question is, do they run it back again? I think they do. And we get one more match with him and Drew at the Royal Rumble. For one very particular reason. It was more a case of Drew beating himself than Seth beating Drew. And I'll explain why when we get to the main event. And there was no CM Punk on the show tonight. For those wondering if he was, in fact, on the show, he was not. He will be on the show next week. They'd already announced his schedule for January, so I don't know why this is a big surprise to some people. They announced he'll be on Raw January 8th and January 22nd. That's the final Raw before the Rumble. That's it. That's all you're going to get. There were people who thought Punk was back full time. I don't know where they got that from. My understanding from the moment he came back, later that week when we got some more information about what he'll be doing, is that he's not going to be on the show every week. But I guess you probably have people buying tickets to these shows expecting him. Now, I think he may have been there, because I could have sworn I saw something about him being backstage. So maybe he came out for a dark match when the show was over. Maybe they did he and Dom. Maybe it was him and Dominic when the show was over. But this is your Monday Night Raw Day 1 review. The very first Raw review here for the new year. It is January 1st, 2024. I am the Solomonster. Like and subscribe. We picked up a lot of new subscribers over the last couple of days. Been a very busy weekend. Very active weekend here on the channel. 400 likes is the goal, the minimum that I've set for Be the Booker. If we hit that goal, we will do that segment later on in the stream. Super chats are open. We got some new ones, including a brand new one in tribute to everyone's favorite executive producer, Kevin Dunn. Let us all bow our heads and take a moment here to acknowledge Kevin Dunn no longer with us in WWE. He has moved on. Not to the afterlife. I'm making it sound like he's dead. He's dead as far as WWE goes. He's moved on. He's done. He's finished. He's going to take a vacation. He's going to go to a log dam somewhere. I don't know where he's going to go, but he's not here. You can go anywhere you want to go, but you can't be here. So there's one new super chat in there in tribute to him. Now, Raw tonight opened a little bit differently. I don't know if this is... who knows? Maybe him not being there, they're starting to try new things. They had Michael Cole and Wade Barrett. They were standing in the middle of the ring now they did a cold open initially, but then we ended up getting the full intro. But they were standing in the middle of the ring and they had their audio piped in over the PA system. So it's not just a matter that we could hear them, but the entire building could hear them. And they introduced us to Raw. They ran down the card for tonight's show, including showing Triple H's tweet from the other day after the Fightful report that there would be a former WWE champion making an appearance on the show tonight. So they were really driving that point home. That's how you knew. At that point, that's how you knew, okay, this is not going to be Andrade or someone like that, because they're really going overboard here with the promotion. It's obviously going to be somebody a little bit bigger than Andrade. If he's coming back to WWE, I guess for him, we'll have to wait until the Royal Rumble. That's probably where he'll be back. The opening match of the night was Becky Lynch against Nia Jax. This is a match that they told us was 5 years in the making. It was 5 years ago that Nia Jax broke Becky's face. And they never had a match. These two women never had a singles match, ever, in their career. Because Becky, when she became champion, Nia had double ACL surgery. She was gone for a year. Becky got pregnant, so then she disappeared when Nia came back. Then Nia got fired. So their paths just did not cross until now. This was the best match that Nia Jax has had since she came back. I can't call it the best match of her career because I recall her having a couple of good matches in NXT, one with Asuka, I think, in particular. But this was the best that she has looked in the ring since she came back all those months ago. Becky caught Nia with a missile drop kick from the middle rope and covered her for a 2 count, heading into a picture-in-picture break. They ended up at ringside where Nia headbutted Becky, and Nia went for a cannonball. Lynch, though, moved, and Nia crashed into the barricade. Becky applied an armbar. Nia powered her up and broke the hold with a sit-out powerbomb for a near fall. Jax went to the ropes for the sit-down splash, but Lynch cut her off and joined her on the ropes, and Becky was trying for a manhandle slam off the middle rope. Nia, though, instead countered it, and she maneuvered her up onto her shoulders and delivered a Samoan drop from the middle rope for a close near fall. She barely got the shoulder up, and the fans bought into that. It's a near fall. So Nia grew very frustrated, went to the ropes again for the bonsai. Lynch shoved her off the ropes. Nia landed flat on the apron. Becky got her now draped over the middle rope. And Becky climbs up to the middle rope. She's going to do, I assume, what would have been her diving leg drop that she does. But as Becky came jumping off, Nia clobbered her right in the face with a right hand. Same right hand that broke her face. And Becky sold it great. She did the stalling kind of fall back, the flat back bump backwards, like she was knocked out. Nia got back in the ring. She tried for a third time for the Annihilator, and this time she squashed Becky Lynch, and she pinned her. So Nia Jax defeats Becky Lynch. Becky, her mouth was all bloody. Now, I could have sworn there was a spot here a few moments before this where it looked like Becky slipped something into her mouth. So she probably bit down on a blood cat, because there was a lot of it. It's like this thick blob of blood, like around her mouth. So my guess is that this was by design, because they wanted to play into that idea that it was Nia who broke her face and bloodied her up 5 years ago with the right hand. And so with the right hand, she did it again. And so Becky came up bleeding after that spot. And that's fine. You know, if that was the idea here, and, you know, they planted that as part of the story they wanted to tell, I think that's fine. I think that makes sense. This match was better than I was expecting it to be. And Becky's been on something of a roll ever since that cage match with Trish. You know, between that, the match that she had with Lyra Valkyria, she had an Extreme Rules match with Tiffany Stratton. So Becky has had a string of very good matches over the last few months, and she could add this one to the list too. Now the question is, do they run this back again? It looks like they will. They almost have to. I would think that they could run it back at the Royal Rumble, one-on-one. The other option is they could do it in the Rumble, where it comes down to Becky Lynch and Nia Jax. Because right now, Bayley and Becky Lynch are the only two, in my opinion, likely winners of the Women's Royal Rumble. I tend to think that Bayley is going to win, but it's either Bayley or Becky as things stand right now. So I'm expecting Becky to be in the Women's Rumble and to be in there at the end. If she's going to win it, you could have it come down to her and Nia Jax. And Becky eliminates Nia to win the entire thing. So if they don't do a singles match on that show, I think that's probably what we're in for. But I also wonder, there's another option. I think this is less likely, but I think it's a possibility. Could they be setting up Nia Jax with this win for a title match with Rhea Ripley at the Royal Rumble? You know, Rhea wrestled Ivy Nile tonight. She has no obvious challenger coming up. Who else does she defend her title against? Does she defend her title at all? Right? She's not going to be in the Rumble. So do you leave her off the show completely, or do you have her in there defending her title against somebody? Could be Nia Jax. Maybe that's why she won here. Cody Rhodes was out to the ring after no doubt shaking The Rock's hand in the back and then going to the bathroom to dry his eyes after he was crying in the back. He came out to address the audience. He said he was feeling stuck. Yeah, I'll bet. I'll bet Cody Rhodes is feeling pretty fucking stuck right now. He said he's stuck on Shinsuke Nakamura. He said he's not stuck on him because of the things he said about his family. And he's not stuck on him because he tried to blind him with the poison mist. He's stuck on him because, quite simply, this should be over. I felt like this was like Cody's shooting, but in a worked sense. Like, this is what they wanted him to say, but there was a lot of truth in the words that were coming out of this man's mouth. He does feel stuck. And this should be over. He's not wrong about anything he said here. He said he's going to give Shinsuke Nakamura the opportunity to end it tonight. He says, this ends right now. Predictably, we got Shinsuke up on the video screen. We had the background music. We had the subtitles. There was some anime in there. Again, I like what they do with these vignettes that they do with him, but it was very predictable. You knew how this was going to go. He said he never thought it would be so easy to get in his head and become the author of Cody's final chapter. He's blinded him so he cannot see the ending. But his story does not end tonight. He wants to give the American Nightmare one more week to dream. And at that point, you could hear the boos coming from the people in the building because they wanted to see the match. So they were like, boo, right? They didn't like that. He said, I become what you could never be. I will finish your story, and then I close your book. And then to close the segment, he blew red mist at the camera, or I guess in the direction of the camera. It kind of looked like there was a plexiglass, divider between the camera lens and him. But he spit red mist into the camera. Look, you knew they weren't going to give the match away tonight, right? They're not going to do Cody and Nakamura with no advance notice. They're not just going to add it to the show without promoting it in advance. So the match is happening on television next week. That's going to be match number 2. I'm surprised they didn't announce a stipulation. And that feeds into what I think is probably going to end up happening, which is I think that we may well get a third match between Cody and Nakamura at the Royal Rumble, even though Cody is already declared for the Rumble match. If we get some kind of a BS decision next week, or if we don't get a clear-cut winner in the match next week, it could be that they run it back one more time, and then they add a stipulation. Because when they worked Madison Square Garden last week, they worked a bull rope match. So it could very well be we get a bull rope match to decide the entire thing at the Royal Rumble. If Cody is not going to win the Rumble match, I tend to think Punk is probably going to win. If Cody's not winning the Rumble, it actually works out really well, because if he wrestles earlier in the show and wins, but, he wrestles, let's say, a bull rope match, right? And it's a very demanding match, and he's all beat up. Now he's got to go work the Rumble. He draws an early number in the Rumble. He could be there towards the end and then lose. And he's got the built-in excuse that this guy, he had to wrestle a match earlier in the show. He had to wrestle 30, 40 minutes, 45 minutes in the Rumble match. And then he falls just short. And Cody has to find a different path. Now, of course, all of this may be completely meaningless if he's not wrestling for the championship at WrestleMania. As far as him having to find another path to Roman Reigns. His path to Roman Reigns may have closed tonight. I'm hoping that's not the case. But there is a very distinct possibility that his path may have been blocked by a boulder that fell onto the road. A giant rock fell onto the road and is blocking his path. And now he's got nowhere to go. Now he's stuck. Kofi Kingston and Jey Uso, they were a tag team tonight. We had the New Day and the Usos together as a team to take on Imperium. No Gunther on the show tonight. A couple weeks ago, he said he was going to take a break. Turns out he took a break because he and Ginny of NXT UK fame, they had a child. Their very first, I think, a baby boy, I believe, the other day. Kofi was out there working in a pair of gym shorts. I can only guess that maybe they lost his luggage. That's what it looked like to me. Because I'm looking at him and I'm thinking something is different. And then I realized what it was. Maybe he lost his luggage. So he was down on the floor heading into the picture-in-picture break. Coming out of the break, Kingston shot Giovanni Vinci into the corner. And Vinci did a springboard off the middle rope out of the corner. And Kofi blasted him in midair. On the way down, he caught him with a drop kick right to the side of the jaw. And he nailed him flush. And so when Vinci hit the mat, the back of his head smacked the mat pretty hard. So if he already had his bell rung, that didn't make it any better. The referee immediately can tell this didn't look right. And he gets down to check on Vinci. He knows something is wrong. He throws up the dreaded X. And the doctor got into the ring to check on him. Then they're keeping the camera off of him. They get a tight shot of Jey Uso on the apron, who's waiting for the hot tag. They show the heel corner. You could see Ludwig Kaiser. He's, obviously concerned, but he's hoping to get the tag so that he can come into the match. Jey Uso does get the tag. As soon as Jey Uso gets the tag and the crowd kind of comes up for it, they ring the bell. And now there's just mass confusion, and nobody really knows exactly what's going on. Jey looks not happy. Kofi is confused. Everybody is confused. And it was a while. I mean, there was probably a good 45 seconds to a minute that went by before they finally had Samantha Irvin make the announcement that due to a referee stoppage, the winners of the match, Kofi Kingston and Jey Uso. They showed a replay of the spot in slow-mo, and you could tell that Kofi got him good. He got him a little too good, and they did the right thing. I mean, look, it sucks what happened here, but Their health is the most important thing. And the referee did exactly the right thing. He could tell he really got nailed. Let me go over and check. And I don't know what he saw that obviously spooked him. But he threw the X up pretty quick and summoned the doctor into the ring. So he did exactly what you're supposed to do in a situation like that. It was a little odd just because it's a tag team match. And so if he could have tagged out, you could have had him roll out and let Kaiser finish the match. Evidently, they didn't feel that he was in any position to get up and actually make the tag. And so in that situation, you got to call it. That's it. Jon Moxley, a few months ago, when he was talking about what he thinks the protocol in wrestling should be when it comes to concussions. And I don't know if he got concussed or not here. It looked like maybe he did. But his whole thing is, look, you should call it like a sport, and you should have a situation where you have a doctor and you have a worker watching on a screen in the back, because there may be things the doctor sees who think, he may think, oh, wait, this person's really hurt. And then you have a wrestler that says, no, they're just working a spot. Or maybe something the doctor can't tell, but the wrestler does. Like, he was explaining it and it actually made a lot of sense. But his whole thing was, look, if you know that somebody got their bell rung and got concussed, you got to call it. And it doesn't matter how big the match is. You have to, their health comes first and you have to call it. And he's not wrong. Now, that would be a difficult thing to do if you're in the main event of WrestleMania, 3 minutes into the match. But, again, that stuff is no joke. You got to take that stuff seriously. So I hope he's okay. Hopefully he just got his bell rung and nothing's broken. Because, again, he got nailed in the jaw pretty hard. Then we got a Miz TV segment, which was supposed to be with the Judgment Day. Miz introduced the Judgment Day. R-Truth came out instead. He was wearing a Judgment Day t-shirt that had their names on it. Baszler, Priest, Ripley, Dominic. And then on the very bottom, there was a piece of tape with the name R-Truth written in on it. Truth said that he's been waiting all year to say this. He said, all rise for the Judgment Day. And people in the crowd actually rose. They rose to their feet. And then they sat back down as R-Truth explained to The Miz all of the roles that he has been filling. He's been very busy. All the roles he's been filling for the Judgment Day. Today, he's their PR person. Last week, he was doing all kinds of administrative work for them. He's been trying to make the Judgment Day more likable. JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio came out. McDonough said that Truth is not doing their PR. He is not doing administrative work for them, and none of them would be caught dead on Miz TV. Dom tried to speak. He got booed in his own hometown, drowned out by boos. Truth reminded JD that he isn't even in the Judgment Day. After last week, they had the Miracle on 34th Street fight. I guess that was 2 weeks ago. And he lost. And therefore, he is not supposed to be in the Judgment Day anymore. So Miz said he couldn't hear Dom over the people, even though Dominic had a microphone. He said his only memory of Dominic from 2023 was of him being spanked by his father. And Miz also recalled Dominic being whooped all around the country by CM Punk on the holiday tour. Dom got booed some more when he tried to talk about having a match against Miz and R-Truth. Miz asked the fans if they wanted to see that match, and they cheered. And Miz said that he and Truth would reunite their Awesome Truth tag team tonight against McDonough and Dominic. And it reminded me that that is in fact correct. It was Miz and R-Truth who were selected to wrestle John Cena and The Rock at Survivor Series. That was The Rock's very first match back in something like 8 years. And it was against Miz and R-Truth. Right? The biggest match that R-Truth has been involved in his entire time in WWE. And then I think the very next day, he got suspended for a wellness policy violation for K2. He got popped. And then he went home. So Truth didn't understand. He thought that, am I teaming with the Judgment Day? Because he still thinks he's part of the group. And McDonough, he tried a cheap shot. Truth ducked and Miz clotheslined him out of the ring. After a break, they joined the match already in progress. Truth was standing in the neutral corner because he wasn't sure what team he was on. And there wasn't really much that happened until Dominic hit Truth with a 619, and they went to break 2 minutes into this match. Brutal. Awful. They have a knack for having these segments, usually in the middle of the show, where they'll have a bunch of video packages, they'll have like a long, boring talking segment, and you can see it's going to lead to a match. It's going to lead to a tag team match. Then they do make the inevitable match. We get 45 seconds, and then they go to commercial. That's after they already came back from commercial. That's what we got here. This was brutal. Truth tried to tag himself in by tagging McDonough. And McDonough and Dominic, they were pissed, but then they realized, oh wait, we can use this to our advantage. So they took the Miz, and they held Miz with his arms behind his back, and they told, or McDonough told, Truth, go ahead and hit him. Right? You're part of the Judgment Day. Go ahead and hit him. And Truth did the Shawn Michaels, I'm sorry, I love you line. Wound back, went to go hit Miz. Miz ducked, and he hit McDonough instead. Miz followed with the skull-crushing finale on JD McDonough for the win. Look, I like Truth. I'm a fan of R-Truth. And that's really all I can say about this. I have nothing else to say about this match. Highlights aired of... Oh, this was interesting. So we had a skit here. We had highlights of Kayden Carter and Katana Chance winning the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. Then we got a very cheesy NXT-style skit. You see these kinds of vignettes all the time on NXT. And I could tell the way this was shot, I wouldn't be surprised if Jeremy Borash is the one who filmed this. They were shown celebrating their win at a nightclub. Chelsea Green and Piper Niven come into the club. And they go over to Chance and Carter and said that they're going to be going over Adam Pearce's head to Nicholas Aldis on SmackDown to get themselves a rematch for the tag team titles. Carter and Chance didn't mind it, though. They said, we're fighting champions. We have no problem with that. And then they threw their drinks at Chelsea and Piper. Security then escorted them out. And Carter and Chance continued dancing with their belts in the club. They had their women's tag team titles in the club with them, and they were dancing around with them. Rhea Ripley against Ivy Nile for the Women's World Championship. If you can believe it, this was Ivy Nile's very first singles match on Raw. Her first singles match on Raw, and she's fighting for the world title. The thing with Ivy is this. She's very small. I think they said she's like 5'2". So you look at her and you could tell she's a small woman, but she is deceptively strong. And that is what is most impressive about her when she's out there with somebody bigger than her, as Rhea Ripley is. And she can pick them up and she can just kind of throw them around. She can do the power spots that are very impressive. That's what gets her over, and it's going to get her over with the crowd. So Ripley put her down with a big boot. Ivy hit a Hurricane Rana. Nile avoided a big boot and caught Rhea with her leg over her shoulder. Suplexed her, heading into the picture-in-picture break. Footage aired during the break of Ripley with Ivy in an electric chair position on the floor, and she dropped her down face first on the ring apron. Ripley tried to repeat the spot on the floor, but Nile slipped out and dropped Rhea with a German suplex on the floor. And Rhea let out a 4-letter word before she went over for the suplex. I know this because they muted the audio on my feed. Back inside, Nile hit a nice DDT for a near fall. I'm going to give Rhea Ripley her props here. Rhea Ripley sells the DDT better than anybody else right now in wrestling. Every time this woman takes a DDT from somebody, she sells it like death. I love it. She is fantastic at it. In fact, I still remember there was a spot in her match with Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania last year where she might have been going for Riptide, and it might have been Charlotte countering out a Riptide, and Charlotte turned it into a DDT, and I still remember the way Rhea sold it. It was just fantastic. So Ripley then stuffed a suplex attempt, and Ivy avoided a charge in the corner. Ripley gave Ivy a headbutt and then connected with a top rope missile drop kick that led to a 2 wings. That led to a 2 count. Hey, Azen, enjoy your woo wings. Let me know if they're too spicy for you. Ripley went for Riptide. Ripley went for Riptide, but Nile slipped out and threw a weak kick to the back of Rhea's head. And Ivy suplexed Rhea, then hoisted her up. Rhea slipped out and slammed Ivy's head into her knee. Rhea picked up Ivy and slammed her face first into the mat and then covered her for a near fall. Rhea was setting up for a superplex when Ivy fought out of it. She went for a sunset bomb, but when she landed on her feet, Rhea was still holding on to the top rope, wouldn't let go. And then Ivy ended up, she grabbed her arm and she yanked down on it so that Rhea ends up headbutting the top turnbuckle. And then Ivy took her over with a German suplex from the middle rope. Only got 2 out of it. There was a light chant at this point of "This is awesome." Nile went up top and dove at Rhea, who headbutted her on the way down, and Ripley followed that with a knee strike and then Riptide for the win to retain her championship. You know, it's hard to find very many credible challengers for Rhea Ripley. She's just been so dominant over the past year in her matches. She towers over so many of the women in the division to begin with, and Ivy is one of the smaller ones, so she was towering over her in this match as well. But I could see why they wanted to match her up so early in her run with someone like Rhea. I mean, it was the perfect combination for her to go in there against the women's champion and to do some of the power spots that she was doing. It's an easy way to have her showcase her strength and get her over, even though there was no chance of her walking out with that title. So it's not like the match had any real drama to it. But I thought she acquitted herself very well here in this match. And I thought that, look, they had the crowd rooting for her. She had the people on her side by the time the match was over, buying into some of the near falls. You know, Rhea Ripley had one job here in this match, which was to make Ivy Nile look good and look credible in defeat. And I thought they accomplished that, and the two of them had what I thought was a good match. So after the break, it was time to introduce us to the former WWE champion. They have been teasing now for several days that this champion was going to be coming back. Who is it going to be? There was a long pause, right? You got to build up anticipation for it. And it turns out to be Jinder Mahal. You could hear the audible groans of the people in San Diego. I don't think I have heard groaning like this. Remember the Big Boss Man when he would come out to his music during the Attitude Era? There were people groaning at the opening chord of his music. Like, oh, God. That's the kind of groaning that we heard here. So Jinder Mahal comes out. There was no Veer. There was no Sangha. It was just Jinder. Comes to the ring. And the fans are booing him. He asks if they have the audacity to be disappointed. You're disappointed with me. Said that he is a past and future WWE champion. I can't believe how many people there were in the chat. You people should be ashamed of yourself. There were people in the chat who were livid when he came out. As if this wasn't set up perfectly for there to be a big babyface to come out and interrupt him. I mean, have you been watching wrestling for 2 weeks? It was very clear that someone, The Rock, but it was very clear that somebody was going to interrupt him and that Jinder was not the big surprise. I was shocked there were so many people who seemed to think it really was Jinder as the former WWE champion here. So Jinder said the only thing disappointing is what has become of this once great nation of the United States of America. He called it disgusting. He told the fans to look around and ask them if they feel united. He said the country has never been more divided. He said the country was once a superpower and now it is a joke. He said he would unify the fans and called himself the Great Unifier. Then he spoke in Punjabi, and they booed. And he said, finally, all of you are unified on one thing. You people stood loud and proud and just booed your own national anthem because he was reciting part of the national anthem, but doing it in Punjabi. And the people booed him. So therefore, they booed the national anthem. If this was Philadelphia, I would say, they booed Santa Claus once. Those people in Philly, man, they don't fuck around. So I'm not surprised. He said, yeah, the fans would boo him because he looks different and he speaks different. And I'm rolling my eyes. I'm like, what is this? You know what I mean? Like, what is this nonsense? He said he would speak again in Punjabi, and this time he would tell the fans what the rest of the world really thinks about them. Finally, The Rock's music interrupts, and out comes The Rock to save us all. Even I was begging for The Rock to come out at this point. And he did, and as expected, the people lost their minds. And he came down to the ring, he posed on the ropes, and everybody cheered and went wild for him. And as I said earlier, this man is comically gigantic. The older he gets, the bigger he gets. It's unbelievable. So Michael Cole is yelling on commentary and probably touching himself and saying, absolute pure electricity for The Rock. He said there was nobody on the planet like The Rock. Rock told Jinder, oh, you're in trouble tonight. He said, but he's right about one thing. He's not the Iron Sheik because The Rock knows the Iron Sheik. And The Rock loved the Iron Sheik. And if the Iron Sheik were here right now, he would say, oh, Rock Bubba, who is this no good, dirty son of a bitch, jabroni bastard? Jinder said, of course Rock is here. Whenever the WWE Universe is being insulted, the People's Champion has to show up. Said, you're the champion to all these jingoistic people. If he was Rock, he would be ashamed of himself to represent these people. Rock said he's not ashamed. He's damn proud to be the People's Champion, and The Rock is damn proud to be an American. And The Rock is especially damn proud to say, finally, The Rock has come back to San Diego. Rock said they don't boo Jinder because he speaks Punjabi, and then he acted like he was getting a message from beyond. He was getting a message from the Iron Sheik. And he looks up as he's speaking to Sheiky Baby, and he says, oh, what's that, Sheik? Says, yeah, I'm going to get to that in a second. He goes, no. He goes, they boo you because you're the biggest asshole walking God's green earth. That they did not censor. He goes, well, look at you. There's that look. He goes, there's that angry face that you have all the time. We're all familiar with resting bitch face. But what this is, he goes, this is raging asshole face. This is quite the material that The Rock has here. He goes, why are you so angry all the time? It's probably because nobody likes you and you're not funny. As a matter of fact, if you were one of The Rock's movies, you would probably be Baywatch. And Jinder said he's never seen Baywatch. And Rock said, well, nobody else did either. Then he stopped and he asked Jinder, wait, you've never seen Baywatch? And Jinder went to go answer, and he got caught with the it doesn't matter if you've ever watched Baywatch line. So then he got serious about Jinder saying that this country is a joke. He said it's not a joke to him. He talked about having freedom of speech in this country, but you can't come out here and run our country down free of consequence from The Rock. The Rock knows Jinder is the modern-day Maharaja, but from now on, he's the day one douchebag. And the fans chanted day one douchebag. Rock said the fans just gave him an idea. He said in about 10 to 15 seconds, this whole side of the arena is going to chant day one, and this other side of the arena is going to chant douchebag. And again, exactly the same shtick that he used with Austin Theory on SmackDown in September, only then it was you are, and then this side said an asshole. Like, he just copied the same promo. And he threw the Iron Sheik and Baywatch in there. The Baywatch line I liked. I liked the fact that he poked fun at one of his own movies. But it was the same promo. It was just a carbon copy. Just substitute Jinder Mahal for Austin Theory. So the people chanted it. They went back and forth for a while chanting douchebag. They very much enjoyed chanting douchebag at Jinder Mahal. Rock said they got one last gift for Jinder. Since he loves our national anthem so much, The Rock is going to sing him a verse from our national anthem. And he said, and the rocket's red glare, San Diego's aware that you are jacked as hell, but your balls still aren't there. You're an angry, toxic douchebag who clearly has no class, so you've left The Rock no choice but to whoop your candy ass. And as soon as he delivered the candy ass line, Mahal beat him to the punch. He kicked Rock, worked him over in the corner. Then Jinder went and removed his jacket. When he came back, he threw a punch. Rock blocked it. He fired back some right hands of his own. He hit a spine buster. He followed that with a people's elbow. And then Rock took his belt off. And he got one lash in. Is all he got on Jinder as he rolled out of the ring. Rock picked up the microphone. So thankfully, this part of the promo was over, right? People were happy they got to see Rock hit a spine buster and a people's elbow. You know, at this point, when you're someone in The Rock's position, if you're Rock or John Cena or somebody like that, people are going to be happy if you come back and play the hits. The problem is, a lot of the content of these Rock promos, they haven't hit, honestly, for years. Like, I go back now and I watch some of the stuff even from the feud with John Cena. And Rock had some pretty intense promos there. But John Cena, I look back on it now, John Cena mopped the fucking floor with him. And that was in 2012. But Rock would come back periodically, and it's good to see him. But, you know, then he gets into his shtick here, and the people cheer for it. He's playing the hits. But, like, this promo, it didn't work. It was pretty fucking lame, actually. So The Rock picks up the microphone. Now we get to the real substance of this promo. He tells San Diego he loves them. He wishes them Happy New Year. And he said, tonight, after all this ass kicking, The Rock is going to go out to eat in San Diego. I think The Rock's been doing a lot of eating. He looks like he's been having a lot of protein, The Rock. Maybe he should stop eating for a few days. Said he's a little bit hungry. He's going to go get something to eat. I thought he was going to tell us he was going to go grab some In-N-Out burger. And then he asked us, he goes, should The Rock sit in a booth? Or should The Rock sit at the bar? Or should The Rock sit at the head of the table? And as soon as he said head of the table, the fans popped huge for that line. Rock said, I love you too, San Diego, and that's what I thought. If you smell what The Rock is cooking. And he closed things out with his main catchphrase. People, again, have been talking about this possibility for a long time. It's all talk. To the point, honestly, that I just got tired and fucking sick of hearing about it. And it was pretty clear to me, like, if he was going to do the match, the time to do it would have been Hollywood last year. And it didn't happen. This is the first time they've acknowledged anything about Rock and Roman. Right? The Battle of the Tribal Chiefs. Anything like that on television. The fact that he put that tease out there on this show. They obviously have a commitment from him to do something this year. The only question is when. I think doing it at WrestleMania in place of whatever their existing plan was going to be. Because I don't believe that this is a plan they've had for months. They've had this all mapped out. It was never going to be Cody. It was never going to be anybody else. I think they got the commitment from The Rock. You know, maybe they started talking shortly after he showed up in September. But they got the commitment from him to do something. And it could very well be at WrestleMania. And I think that would be a very big mistake. Not to say that it's not going to do gangbuster business and there's going to be a whole lot of interest in it. Of course there will be. It will be Rock's first match in years. There's, of course, going to be interest in that. And it's going to get mainstream attention. It's going to be in all the media outlets. It'll be huge. But it'll be just as huge if they do it on another show. It would be just as big if they did it at Elimination Chamber and had Rock going around to promote the match. Now, there's no guarantee Rock will actually wrestle. People are going to assume that that's what this means. It could also mean that he's going to be involved with the tribal chief and the bloodline stuff, but maybe as a special referee. Maybe he'll be the referee for the WrestleMania main event. Which, honestly, I don't like the idea of him giving Roman a rock bottom and that being the reason that the person who finally beats Roman, whoever it is, only beats him because they needed the assist from The Rock. Like, I don't like that either. I think when the time comes for Roman to drop the belts, which should be at WrestleMania, whoever that person is, should be able to do it on their own. Even if you had Solo Sikoa finally see through Roman Reigns and see that he's only being used, and he decides to walk away, he doesn't have to lay a finger on Roman. All he has to do is walk away and not help him. And Roman realizes he's got nobody left. Paul Heyman, that's all he has left. Right? There's a story already there that they could tell that they had been building and cultivating now for over 3 years. And that's the thing for me, is to bring The Rock in if it's going to blow that up. Because, well, we got The Rock, so we got to do it. We got to do it now. I think that would be terrible. I think that would suck if they had a story and they decided to deviate from that just because, well, we got to do Rock and Roman. If it's for the title, that's even worse. It does not need to be for the championship. But I can see where they would just be like, oh, we have to do it. We have to do it. Right? We only have a small window with him. We have to do it. But at the expense of your WrestleMania card. A WrestleMania card that before tonight was looking pretty good, even without The Rock. And I just hate the idea that that could potentially be thrown into disarray just because of this. But you know what? I still have the belief that I will believe it when I see it. Because we've been hearing so much about Rock coming back and wrestling and all this for so long that until they make it official with some kind of announcement, nothing is guaranteed. It could just as easily be him being a referee as it is him being in an actual match. Because really, what does Rock have to do? Right? What would Rock be doing? He would probably take some shots like he did tonight. Make a comeback, hit a spine buster, maybe a rock bottom, a people's elbow. Again, that's all people need to see. And think about like the promos, right? If you had Rock and Roman doing promos, I would like to think that if they tap into their family history and Rock gets serious and it's not just about jokes and saying douchebag or asshole over and over and over again, and they really get into the substance of their family and the elders and you know, there's definitely a story there to be told. And I think that the promos back and forth could be very good. But some of these Rock promos that we see from him now, you know what? I'm not so sure. You know, he's lost some speed on that fastball. What would those promos look like? Would those promos even be any good? I think he has it within him to get serious and go back and forth and spar verbally with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns has gotten a lot better as a promo. This is not the Roman Reigns of 2016 or 2017. This is not the same Roman Reigns that John Cena embarrassed in the ring before their match at No Mercy. That was embarrassing. That's a very different Roman Reigns. So I'm not even sure how those promos would come off on television. This promo tonight didn't exactly inspire me to see Rock in a promo battle with somebody. So we'll see where that ends up. But that's all anybody's going to be talking about now coming out of the show is Rock and Roman. They're not even going to be thinking about Roman against Randy Orton or AJ Styles or anybody else at the Royal Rumble. That Royal Rumble title match just became completely inconsequential. Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark against Natalya and Tegan Nox. I'm guessing the Rock segment ran long because they went to break here. They were not even a minute into the match, and they went to a commercial break. When they came back, it didn't go that much longer. Shayna cut Tegan off with a kick to the head. Baszler hit a German suplex, and Zoey followed with her Z360 finish for the win. Pretty cut and dry, not much to it. Main event was Seth Rollins defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Drew McIntyre. McIntyre tried a reverse Alabama slam onto the steps early on, but Rollins was able to use the ropes and the ring skirt to escape. Rollins hit a suicide dive. McIntyre, though, caught him and delivered a belly-to-belly suplex on the floor. That took us into the break. McIntyre maintained control. Hit a backbreaker for 2. Rollins tried a buckle bomb, but he collapsed. And then he did manage to fight back with a flip dive, which is always smart for somebody with a bad back to do. Followed that with a DDT and a frog splash. Rollins hit a superplex, but before he could transition into a Falcon Arrow, McIntyre hit a Falcon Arrow of his own. So after one last commercial break, McIntyre hit a white noise off the middle rope. Michael Cole gave a nice little hat tip there to Sheamus. We still have not seen back on TV. I suspect that we're going to get Sheamus on television on Friday. There is always the possibility they could call up Tyler Bate and have him as Pete Dunne's, Butch. He's not Pete Dunne yet. With any hope, with any luck in the next few months, he'll be Pete Dunne again, but it's going to be Butch and a mystery partner against Pretty Deadly on Friday. I'm guessing it's Sheamus, but there's been talk about Tyler Bate possibly getting a main roster call-up, but it almost has to be Sheamus, I think, because he's been gone for a while now. Rollins got the better of a striking exchange. McIntyre avoided a stomp and hit a future shock DDT. Seth countered a Claymore kick into a sit-out powerbomb for 2. McIntyre missed the Claymore again. Rollins hit a pedigree, only got a 2 count out of it. Now here comes Damian Priest. They play his music. Damian Priest comes out, and he's got his Money in the Bank briefcase with Dominic Mysterio as well. Dominic is distracting the referee. Priest takes the briefcase and he reaches through the ropes and he blasts Seth Rollins in the head with it. Priest then goes over to the referee and he explains that he is ready to cash in his Money in the Bank. As he is explaining this, as he is on the verge of handing over the briefcase, you can see in the background, here comes Drew McIntyre. And he delivers a Claymore kick and he kicks the briefcase right into Priest's face, and then he suplexed Dom. McIntyre gets back in the ring, and he delivers a Claymore kick to Seth Rollins. Unfortunately, the kick, it was like a glancing blow. The kick didn't really look good, didn't connect, but he delivered a Claymore kick, and then he went for the pin, and they did the Neville spot. Now, if you don't know what the Neville near fall is, funny enough, it also involves Seth Rollins. There was a WWE title match on Raw back in 2015. A very good television match between Seth Rollins and Adrian Neville, Pac. Pac hit the red arrow, and he went for the pin. Had the match won. People are standing. They're on their feet. They think this is going to be it. New champion is about to be crowned. He hits the red arrow, and he hooks Seth's leg back with so much force that Rollins' foot is in the ropes. Honestly, it was in the ropes even at the count of 1. And the referee just didn't notice it right away, but his feet were in the ropes the entire time. But it was Neville who pulled the foot into the ropes. And so the referee sees it. He goes, oh, his foot's in the ropes. And Neville can't believe it. Not because Seth put his foot on the rope, but he did it himself. He fucked up. That was the spot. They did the same thing here. He hits the Claymore kick. He hooks the leg. But in doing so, Rollins' foot ends up on the rope. And just before the referee is about to count 3, he sees the foot on the rope. And he calls off and breaks the fall. And McIntyre can't believe it. He is stunned. He is just in a state of disbelief. Of course, it's his own damn fault, which is going to play into the story nicely. But he can't believe it. So it wasn't so much that Rollins kicked out. It was that McIntyre screwed himself over. He made a mistake. So that was a very well done near fall. Now, McIntyre is sitting there, and I'm thinking, okay, dummy, drag him to the middle of the ring and try again. Right? That would be the sensible thing to do. But you have a lot of really dumb heels on this show. I'll get to Damian Priest in a second. So instead of just dragging him back to the center of the ring, because he's still out, and trying to pin him in the middle of the ring, nope, he goes outside. And he takes Rollins, where he can't win the championship, by the way. So he takes him outside, over by the announce desk, clears off the table. They're up on top of the announce desk. Seth fights him off, and he hits a pedigree on top of the table, which does not break. Back in the ring, Rollins hits a curb stomp, and he pins Drew McIntyre to retain the World Heavyweight title at around the 18-minute mark, almost 20 minutes of a very good main event. And then Michael Cole, on commentary, says, No cash in tonight for Damian Priest as they show Priest getting back to his feet outside. And I'm watching this, and I see Seth Rollins in the ring. He looks like he's just been in a war, which he was. He was in a 20-minute war with Drew McIntyre. Cash in now. Why wouldn't he cash in now? And I know the answer, because Triple H doesn't want him to. Obviously, there's some dumb shit out there who's going to say that. But again, just logically, you're looking at this, and you're like, why doesn't he cash in right now? Rollins is down. He's back to his feet. He doesn't have to wait. There's no rule that says the match is over, therefore you can't cash in your money in the bank. That's what people have done for the last 15 fucking years. Almost 20 years, believe it or not. 2005 was the first Money in the Bank ladder match. People have been doing that for 20 years. So it made Priest look like an idiot because he had the champion down. And McIntyre just got stomped. So he was down too. You didn't have to worry about him. So he didn't cash in. So it made Damian Priest look like a moron. Made him look very stupid. But the fact that McIntyre effectively screwed himself, I think, is going to play into this story. That it was his own mistake that cost him everything. You didn't beat me, Seth. I defeated myself. I could see the promo. I could hear the promo now on television next week. You didn't beat me. I did that to myself. I made one mistake, and I'm not going to make that mistake again. I think they run it back at the Royal Rumble, and you do the match one more time. You could do Rollins and McIntyre Part 3 at the Royal Rumble. Where Damian Priest factors into this, he probably doesn't. One of my predictions for 2024 that I did on the prediction show is that Priest will cash in at WrestleMania. I don't think it happens at the Rumble. I think he might make the attempt at WrestleMania. But as far as these two, we're not done with Rollins and McIntyre yet. That's why that spot is going to become very important. That spot will be key in running it back one more time. So we had a very good main event here. We had a better than expected match, better than expected for me, between Becky Lynch and Nia Jax. We have The Rock on the show, which is always going to be a big deal. Wherever you fall on the whole Rock-Roman match, right? It always, when he shows up as a surprise and you get that big crowd reaction, right? It makes for a memorable moment. So we had that moment on the show. And so I thought, overall it was a good show, but all anybody will remember and be talking about coming out of it is going to be that Rock segment. Because now it's all going to be about Rock and Roman. Is it going to happen? And if so, where is it going to happen? And that's why I put the poll that I did up on Twitter, which was not the usual Raw poll, but I asked you, Rock against Roman Reigns, where do you want to see the match happen? Do you want to see it at Elimination Chamber? Do you want to see it at WrestleMania 40? Do you want to see it at SummerSlam? Or do you just not want to see it at all? Let's see what the poll results show. With 2,200 votes in so far, Elimination Chamber, with 45% of the vote in. WrestleMania is in second place with 26%. SummerSlam at 10%. And I don't care to see it, 19%. So the vast majority of people are voting for Elimination Chamber. Actually by a higher margin than I thought. 45 to 26. I vote for Elimination Chamber as well. That is if Rock is actually wrestling on that show, which I am still not completely convinced that is actually going to be happening. You can go vote at Solomonster. Let me know, where do you want to see the match? Or do you want to see the match? And you're going to have so many people in that stadium. It's going to feel like a really big deal. I mean, this is unlike any other Elimination Chamber show they've ever done. And if they make the call to do Rock and Roman on that show, I don't see the problem with that. Some people are just, they have that tunnel vision like it's WrestleMania or bust. Which I think is just, honestly, it's just, you look at that WrestleMania card and the stars that they have, and they've never been in a better position to actually do that and have a big attraction on a non-WrestleMania show, because WrestleMania is already loaded. You've already got that show loaded for bear. They're in a very advantageous position right now where they don't even need to do it at WrestleMania. They have their pick of wherever they want to do it. Let's take a look at your Super Chats. Get them on in if you got thoughts about Rock and tonight's show, or anything else for that matter. We had a very, very long night last night. You guys were up with me until the wee hours of New Year's Day. We had over 2,000 people hanging out with me at 2 o'clock in the morning, and you guys were going nuts. So let me thank you again for all of your support last night on that New Year's Eve stream. Episode 841, it is up if you missed it. Winter's Paw says, so much for all the Nia slander. Mother delivered. Mother? Mother delivered, according to Winter's Paw. Dr. Bropio, they should merge Orange Cassidy's title and Eddie Kingston's new title and call it the Intercontinental Championship. I will show myself out. Happy New Year, everyone. I actually wouldn't mind that. Jacqueline Fowler with the $12 super chat. I know it's a mid-card title, but what are your thoughts on Cody possibly winning the US title at least once? The story can be that he can win the same title Dusty held in the NWA and Dustin held in WCW. I mean, doing it in his career, I'm fine with, but that's not the title that he should be going after right now. You know, he's not going to be going anywhere. He's going to be around for a while. John Cena had a run late in his career with the US title. I think Cody can get a run with it too, but not right now. Now is not the time for that. Ace of Masta went to Raw tonight. The jingoistic Rock promo sucks shit, but also LMAO Cody. Yeah, I thought the promo was fucking garbage myself until they got to the very end of it. It's just the same kind of paint by numbers bullshit. It's like it's the same stuff. He can't come up with any new material. I mean, the people lap it up. He knows what the people want to hear, so hey, I mean, I get why he does it, but I didn't think the promo was any good. I did like the Baywatch line. At least he had a sense of humor about that. Prince Vegeta, guess Cody is going to hold off on finishing that story for another year. What a shame. Let's not count him out just yet. We're not counting Cody out just yet. Jackie Fowler, if it is Rock and Roman at WrestleMania 40, which I doubt, then Roman should drop the title to Randy Orton and have Cody beat Orton at WrestleMania to finish the story, which is about Cody winning the WWE title and not beating Roman. Well, I agree with you about that. The story is the title, more so than Roman, but it's also a situation where Roman and his family are the ones who screwed him last year. So there is a revenge element to it, where I think it would be sweeter if he did come back and beat Roman, given what happened last year. But I agree, the story ultimately is the title, more so than Roman Reigns. Sean Waters, may sound insane, but stay with me. What if Rock against Roman happens at the Chamber in Perth, since they want Rock there, and Cody against Roman at Mania still happens? There's nothing insane at all about that. That's what I've been just talking about now. That's exactly what I think they should do if the match is going to happen. But if Roman and Cody was the plan and is the plan, you stay the course. You know, it's January. You've had this guy in a holding pattern now ever since April. You teased the match a few months ago on SmackDown. The people were with it. The people were into it. Stay the course. Jessica Herman, when Jinder came out, I thought, no, Vince is back, because he is the only person who would have done that and been serious. You know, I knew as soon as Jinder's music hit, I knew it was going to be the big swerve. They've done that before. It's an easy reaction. It's cheap heat, and then you get the big pop. Chris Mikesell, Rock cut a promo asking San Diego.
Everyone, it's Samoa BRO.
Rock cut a promo asking San Diego where he should eat dinner, at a booth, a bar, or the head of the table. Yes, he did. I am aware. Thank you, Mike. Or Chris. Whatever your name is. Chris, thank you. The Carlosis, Nia's poor hole again. Thank you, the Carlosis. Oh, Luis. Luis is a California guy. I wonder if he was at the show tonight. Luis says there was a 4.1 magnitude earthquake this morning off the coast of Long Beach. I'm happy that the commentators are not reminding us that WWE is in a random part of California for Raw or SmackDown in the TKO era. Well, I don't know if you were in the earthquake zone. Hopefully everything is okay. There was a pretty, I think, massive earthquake in Japan. Something like 7.6, I think, earlier this morning. I saw some of the video of some of the buildings and the subway station, and there was like a parking garage, and just the cars bouncing up and down, everything shaking. There was a tsunami. It's pretty scary stuff. Hopefully everybody is okay. Anderson Blitz. If you can smell when The Rock plays the same goddamn character in every movie. That's why I say, people have asked me, who do I think is the best wrestler turned actor? And they usually give me the options of Rock, Cena, and Dave Bautista. And I always say Dave Bautista, because Bautista has really come a long way from where he was. I remember he was in a movie called Wrong Side of Town. RVD was in the movie. There was somebody else in the movie. He was doing little movies like that. You compare his roles then to the roles he has now, he's come a long way. He's the best actual actor out of all of them. And if I had to rank them, I go Batista, then Cena, then Rock. Even though Rock's movies have probably made more than both of them combined. Although Cena may yet catch up. Because technically Cena was in Barbie, right? I didn't see Barbie, but was he like a merman in the movie? Cena was in Barbie. He's in some of the Fast movies now. Cena's playing catch-up to The Rock. Chris says Raw was fun. The heat for Dom was through the roof. Yeah, he gets a lot of heat. Oh, so I guess Chris was in the building. I guess, Chris, I take it that you were actually at the show. Steven with the $10 super chat. Could they add a PLE between Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania so Roman could drop the belt to Cody? I can't see it happening at Elimination Chamber because of the time zone difference. No, they're not adding a paper. You want to add them? You want them to add another pay-per-view between the Chamber and WrestleMania? No, nor should they. Absolutely not. Ali says bring back the Rock Bottom. Rock versus Roman PLE. Oh, you mean the pay-per-view? They had it in your house many years ago called Rock Bottom. Yeah, no, we don't need more PLEs. We need to stop adding more PLEs. They have enough of them as it is. Bones Jones, if Rock is at WrestleMania, he will headline the Hall of Fame as well. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much up to him. He goes in whenever he wants. Any year that Rock is ready to go in, all he's got to do is just give him the word, and I mean, he'll headline the whole class all by himself. Or Wizzle, why not do Rock night 1 and then Cody on night 2? Could you do Rock on night 1 and Cody on night 2? You could. They're not going to do that. They're not going to have Rock headline night 1 of WrestleMania and then have Cody be night 2. I can't see them doing it in that order. It's just going to end up completely overshadowing whatever they're doing with Cody anyway if you do that. Anis says, Jinder is king, or Jindar. It's not how it's spelled. It says, Jinder is king. King of what? King of the mid-card, yes. Rodimus Prime, give Jinder his walking papers. I can do without him on my TV. That segment was highly unnecessary. That segment served one purpose. It was to just give the people a crowd-pleasing moment, give them someone that was easy to boo. I mean, you could have sent Dominic out there. Just give the people somebody that can go out there and get cheap heat. Rock comes out. He's the big hero. Yay, yay, USA. Lay the guy out. People's elbow. That's it. The only reason Jinder was out there. He played his role fine. Riley says, still hurting from Corbin beating Angle in his retirement match. Can we all agree Kurt was one of the GOATs? Anybody who says otherwise, honestly, is... I don't know what they're watching. I mean, are they even a wrestling fan? If you don't think that Kurt Angle is one of the GOATs, then I can't take you seriously. So, yeah, I think you and I are in agreement on that. Boredom Strikes. That was me tonight at about 9:21. I think The Rock will be the special guest referee for Cody and Roman at WrestleMania 40. The Rock helps Cody by stopping Solo from cheating. That I would be okay with. My concern with this whole idea of Rock being involved in the match as a referee is if he gets physical with Roman. If Rock is there to prevent the Bloodline from doing what they did last year, I'm okay with that. So that would work. I'd be fine with that. But this notion of him coming out there on television and saying, head of the table, like, it's an indicator that there's going to be a showdown between the two of them. So, I mean, I tend to think that they're probably planning and hoping for a match. But if that's what it was, and that's what they end up doing, I would actually be okay with that. That I could live with. Trey Marquis with the $20 super chat. Me personally, I don't care to see the match, but if they do Roman and Rock, it definitely should be at WrestleMania. It's the biggest dream match they have left, and it'll most likely be Rock's last match. So that is from Trey. Azen with the $13 super chat. I'll be just as frustrated and annoyed as you if they throw the whole Cody and Roman thing away for The Rock. But I'm just looking at the buzz that one line has generated. I don't know if they'll be able to help themselves. Justin G, I'm hungry. Happy New Year to Solomonster, Mods, Chat, and General Balzacs. That's right. Don't forget, there is a province? I think it's a province. Or a town. Maybe it's a town in Canada called Balzac. That's one of the things I learned over the summer when AEW went on their Canadian tour. Winter's Paw, Tyson interfered in Austin's match against Shawn, and it didn't take anything away from his moment. As long as Cody wins, who cares how it happens? Because Rock taking it upon himself to be the reason why Cody wins is lame. Tyson didn't punch out Shawn Michaels during the match. He punched him out when the match was over. If Mike Tyson punched out Shawn Michaels and then Steve Austin got the pin, yeah, I'd have a problem with that. And it would make Austin look weak. So that's not really the best example to use. Rock as special referee at WrestleMania would be awesome. Sure, yeah, as long as, again, if he wants to prevent Solo Sikoa from getting involved, I think that's fine. If that's where this is leading to, I'm okay with that. That's cool. But don't interrupt or blow up an existing plan just because, oh, this guy became available. That's what I'm saying. Stay the course with whatever your current plan is. Stay the course with that plan. And if you want to use Rock as a way to keep the other members of the Bloodline out of the picture and let him beat up Solo or beat up Jimmy, I'm fine with that. Barry MK400, if Asuka, with her current look, was in the old ECW, how do you think they would have used her? They would have had her doing some kind of dance on top of the building like they did with Kimona. Remember Kimono Wanalea? That would have been Asuka. Michael Cuomo, happy 80th birthday, Jimmy Hart. Call Jimmy Hart the ageless wonder because every time I look at him, he looks the same. Guy's 80 years old. You look at him, he looks exactly the same. God bless him. You know, there's a lot of people in the wrestling business who don't make it nearly as long as he has. Grant Hudson with the 1999, and the fact that Dwayne is going to be in the main event of WrestleMania 40 with Roman Reigns this year, and I'm not, makes me sick. Says Cody Rhodes, who then turns and waves at Kenny and the Elite. Mark, could see them taking a bid for Rock Roman like what they do with the Manias, have the Aussie government pay more for that match at Elimination Chamber. Well, they definitely want Rock on that show. Even if Rock doesn't wrestle, I suspect that he may end up being on that show, even if it's just some sort of a talking segment, like a verbal segment, just to make an appearance. I could see that. Brandon Vasquez, love Rock, but I don't care to see him against Roman at WrestleMania 40. You can do that at SummerSlam or WrestleMania 41. Cody against Roman is the match to do. Dylan says, with no Kevin Dunn, I'm hoping less crowd noise. Well, that's wishful thinking. There's certain things like that I don't think are going away. Dr. Bropio says, you could say Cody's story hit rock bottom. Boy, you're on fire tonight, aren't you, Dr. Bropio? You know you should go out on a high note. The Intercontinental line was pretty good. I'm just saying. Brandon Vasquez, buy or sell, more likely to have one more match, Rock or Austin? Rock. Sure seems that way. After tonight. Allie with the $3 super chat says, curveball, but if they wanted to do a double turn, Cody could injure Rock to maintain his main event. Don't want to see... no, let's not do that. Let's not do that. A double turn, though, with who? Like Roman goes babyface and defends Rock from being injured by... That would be a terrible idea. Cody is one of their top babyfaces. I would not be doing a double turn with Cody Rhodes. Wow, look at this. Look at Grant. Look at Grant. We're having a party here on the street. We're Barry Horowitz. Look at our boy Grant Hudson just dropped a $200 super chat and got me to sing the song here on the stream. Holy shit. Where did that come from? Grant said, see, I even gave Grant, I had leftover confetti from New Year's. So I said I got to use it on Grant. See, I only do that for you. Grant, my man, he says, on a serious note, with Hunter's announcement on Thursday, I think that will revolve around Rock wrestling at the Chamber, especially if the folks in Australia are willing to pay Saudi-level money. Meaning Cody's story is safe. I still think Rock will be at Mania, though, regardless. First of all, Grant, you're the man. I love you. Thank you for that. That $200 bomb here on the stream tonight. That is amazing. You do bring up something that I forgot to mention, which is they're hyping a preview show for 2024. Something that's airing on Peacock, 8 p.m., I believe, on Thursday. And they are teasing that Triple H is going to make some kind of announcement. So you may be onto something. I don't know if it involves The Rock or not, but it is very possible that it does tie into Elimination Chamber in some way. I don't know what the announcement is going to be. And as far as Rock, as you say there at the end there, Rock having an involvement at WrestleMania, the idea of him being the referee for the main event, but being there to prevent the bloodline from screwing with Cody the way they did last year, I think is a fine idea. Gets Rock on the show, gets him involved, but it does not take away from the story of Roman and Cody, Roman, the championship. That, the focus should really be on that. You get Rock involved, but it doesn't really take away from what should be the main focus. And it makes an even playing field. When Solo and Jimmy and them try to get involved, and Rock is there to cut them off and say, no, you're not getting involved here. We're not getting a repeat of what happened last year. So I think that works a lot better than, shoehorning this match in at the expense of a story that was built up going back to last year. It's a story that has 1 year's worth of history behind it, as far as Cody having to work his way back into this position, the stuff with Brock. Now he's stuck, as he said in his promo, stuck on Nakamura. He's had to go through these different people to try to get back to the top. If he loses in the Royal Rumble, which I think he should, I don't think he should win the Royal Rumble match. He still has to find his path to WrestleMania. That would be the Elimination Chamber match. And then he's finally back in the spot one more time. He gets one more shot at it. That is the story, right? That's part of his story. I don't want to see them deviate from that. We have got Rizzo. I think it is at Elimination Chamber, but I would be fine if he was a referee or an enforcer to stop Solo from interfering. Where do they go with Drew now? For now, they go to the Royal Rumble. I think we get one more match with him and Seth. Grant, again, man, thank you for the $199.99. You the man. That is awesome. Hydrograd. I just noticed how there were no live backstage segments or interviews tonight. You know what? That's a good point. That is a very good point. I didn't even realize that. Says, I too thought that Rock was going to mention In and Out at the end of I thought for sure he was going to mention that. That's why I had to. I was surprised. He didn't throw a little mention of that in there. Dr. Bropio, to be fair, every high has its lows. Well, that is true. Near. Buy, sell, or rent. Crow Sting, Joker Sting, or AEW Sting. I got to buy on Crow Sting. I'm going to buy on Crow. I'm going to rent on... I enjoy Joker Sting. Just debating if I like AEW Sting more. Because some of the matches he's had, with tagging with Darby, have been fun. I'm going to buy on Crow. I'm going to rent on Joker. And I'll sell on AEW Sting. And Allie says, generic Rock promos make me miss Hollywood Rock. Hollywood Rock was just fantastic. It's such a shame that we didn't have the chance to get more of that character. Hollywood Rock was so brief. I mean, literally, what was Hollywood Rock? Hollywood Rock was 3 months? Maybe not even a full 3 months, 2.5 months maybe. He wrestled Hogan in Montreal at No Way Out. He wrestled Austin at WrestleMania. In between there is where he had the match with Hurricane on Raw, where Hurricane pinned him. And then he had the match with Goldberg. It's kind of funny, too, because Rock was the one who actually talked Goldberg into coming in and helped bring him into the company. And that was the last program Rock worked before he went away to go make more movies. Bruce Pritchard tells the story, and this is from Bruce on his podcast. He claims that they bring in Goldberg because Rock wanted to work with him coming out of Mania. And they make this deal to bring in Goldberg. And then Rock one day goes over to him or Vince or whoever it was and says, hey, you got this little masked guy that we've brought in here, talking about Rey Mysterio, who is fantastic. I'd love to work with him. Why don't we do him and me? And they're like, Rock, we just brought in Goldberg. And he was like, yeah, but, I think he and I could have a great match. Which, by the way, I think Hollywood Rock and Rey Mysterio could have absolutely had a fucking great match. And that was Rey with his 2003 knees, not his 2024 knees. But it's like, we brought this guy in to work with you, and now you want to work with Rey Mysterio? So he wanted to work with Rey Mysterio instead. But he had the one match with Goldberg, though. Now I'm kind of sad we never got Rock and Rey Mysterio. I actually think that would have been a fantastic match. Oh, man. Well, thank you for those super chats. I appreciate that. The goal tonight was 400. I should have set the goal even higher because we're closing in, I think, on 600. So thank you for that. We smashed our goal tonight, which is always good to see. So let's be the booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
Our first Be the Booker on a Raw stream this year. We had our first one technically earlier this morning at the end of the New Year's Eve stream. So this is technically the second Be the Booker of 2024. We're already too deep here. We're too deep. And it's only day one. Or technically day two now. Hey, maybe I'll book Rock and Roman tonight, and they won't have to do it at WrestleMania. All right, let's start out here with the tag teams first, and then we'll work our way up to the women, and then we'll do a main event and see what we come up with here. Let's see. I never know. Totally random. I never know where it's going to land. Come back to me. We got the Nasty Boys. Knobs and Sags. There you go. Brian Knobbs, one of Hulk Hogan's buddies. It's going to be the Nasty Boys stepping into the ring with Public Enemy. What a fucking mess that match would be. Those poor guys would just beat the piss out of each other. The Nasty Boys and Public Enemy. I wonder if they ever had a match. I feel like maybe that would have been a match in WCW when Public Enemy came in, but I don't know if the Nasties were already gone by that point. I think they were. So I'm not even sure they ever wrestled before. That would have been a wild match. You remember the match with the Nasty Boys against Cactus Jack and Max Payne in WCW? How fucking wild that was. I feel like that match would be very, very similar. That's right. Bring on all the plunder. Bring on the tables. Bring on the chairs. Shovels. All right, over on the ladies' side, we begin with the very much talked about Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, who it sounds like may be showing up on TBS on Wednesday night. She may be all elite this week. Sasha Banks is going to be going one-on-one with Shayna Baszler. I gotta give that the bell. I'll just be happy to get Mercedes back in the ring. She's been gone for so long with the broken ankle. She was having some pretty damn good matches before she got hurt. Even the match with Willow, up until the moment that she broke her ankle, it was a very good match. She had the match with Kyrie. There was another match that she had. I think it might have been a triple threat match when she was doing the Stardom run. But anyway, there you go. We'll see if she pops up on Dynamite this week. It looks like that might be happening. That would make me a liar because in my predictions, I said she would end up. First, she would go to Impact. I thought she was going to be the surprise that Scott D'Amore's been teasing for the Hard to Kill pay-per-view that TNA is doing next weekend. Going to make a liar out of me if she pops up on Dynamite this week. All right, we begin here with, well, who was it before that mentioned WrestleMania 14? Was it Winter's Paw? We have Shawn Michaels. This is pilled up Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 14, who is dealing with a broken back. You can see it on his face. All right, Shawn Michaels Even pilled up Shawn Michaels with the broken back. Still one of the greatest of all time. He will be stepping into the ring to defend his title against Surfer Sting. Surfer Sting from WCW against the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. One of those matches that we never got to see. Unfortunately, their paths never crossed. But that would have been an incredible match. Sting in his physical prime, Sting in his heyday against Shawn Michaels. I guess in 98 it wasn't really his physical prime, him being hit the broken back and all, but what a match that would have been. Holy shit. Talk about a main event. And I believe we just went 3 for 3, right? We just had our first clean sweep of the new year. I like to see it. That's how you want to start the new year. That is the perfect way to kick off the new year. Oh, wait, did we go 3 for 3 last night? God, I don't even remember. I am running on fumes right now. God, seriously, I did not go to bed until 4:30 in the morning last night. And I think I woke up at like 8:30. So I don't even remember. I know we did Be the Booker last night. I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't even tell you whether or not we went 3 for 3, 2 for 3, 0 for 3. I don't even know. Oh, man. I think we got one more super chat coming in. So we'll let that filter on in here before we get out of here. You got any messages? Get them on in before we wrap things up here. And the next time I am live with you will be on Wednesday night for the first Dynamite of 2024 with our brand new champion, Samoa Joe, the brand new AEW World Champion. Oh, yes, that's right. See, that I do remember. That's right. Last night on the New Year's stream, we had a main event of Bret Hart against Al Bundy, which is a hard one to beat. Al Bundy is, in fact, in Be the Booker. Bret Hart against Al Bundy, and then tonight we do Sting against Shawn Michaels. That's gonna be hard to top. That's all I can say. MJF being off the roster page, to me, nothing but a work. I wouldn't read too much into that. Row Roman Reigns gently down the stream. Row Roman Reigns gently down the stream. Hey, John Quinn with the brand new $22 Row Roman Reigns super chat. That's one of our new ones. Just listen to Sound of 841 and highly endorse the idea of a WrestleMania countdown of the cards in their entirety. Currently watching one match with my non-fan Rumi from each WrestleMania ahead of my list, or my first, WrestleMania 40. Yeah, that was one of the ideas that somebody floated last night, which I'm open to. I can't make any promises, but I am open to that idea. I have another idea for a potential list, but I have to just flesh it out a little bit more. It's kind of an interesting concept. So I got some ideas. Public Enemy against the Nasty Boys was a match at Bash at the Beach 1996 in a double dog collar match. Well, I did not know that. That sounds pretty wild. But there you go. I guess so they did wrestle. Okay. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if they were in the same place in WCW at the same time or not. For some reason, I thought Public Enemy came in maybe in like 97. Do I ever go back to watch old matches and moments from wrestling's past? Sure. Yeah, all the time. In fact, I was just watching the other day, I was watching the main event of SummerSlam in 89, which was Hulk Hogan and Brutus the Barber Beefcake against Zeus and the Macho King, which I think is a very underrated SummerSlam main event. That was a fun match. A fun post-match, too. WrestleManias 1 through 5 was very horrible. There was a lot of filler on those shows on the undercard. WrestleMania 4 was just, it was very long. It was a very long show with a lot of short matches because when you do a 16-man tournament in one night, that's what happens. That's what happened in Survivor Series 98 with the Deadly Game tournament. They did a 16-man bracket in one night, and you end up with a lot of short, nothing matches. WrestleMania 3 is remembered for two things. Actually, it's remembered for three things. The Body Slam, Savage and Steamboat, and I would add a third thing onto that, which is King Kong Bundy squashing Little Beaver. That's one of my favorite WrestleMania moments. Is RSPW making a comeback? I hope so. I would like to do at least one or two more, unless I could find some new posts. I still had some posts bookmarked that I have not used. It's just a matter of finding time to put it all together. I think that WrestleMania 19 is better than WrestleMania 17. Well, there's a lot of people who would agree with you on that. A lot of people think that WrestleMania 19 card is loaded. I mean, you got, Hogan and Vince was better than it had any right to be, but that was the special attraction on the show. You had Austin and Rock, you had Angle and Lesnar, you had Michaels' big comeback at WrestleMania, his first WrestleMania match in years, right, against Chris Jericho. And so that right there, that top of the card right there, is huge. But yet that WrestleMania did very poorly. Like WrestleMania 17 did monster numbers, WrestleMania 18 did a big number, WrestleMania 20 did a big number. And for whatever reason, you have 19 right in the middle there, and it's like you see the drop. And so the interest level just wasn't there for it. But no, I would not put 19 over 17. But there are people who would agree with you on that. I'm not one of those people. But there are people who would agree with you. Jay from New Jersey, have you corpsed on stream at all in 2023? In 2023? Yes, many times. And Uffman Entertainment, 30-year anniversary of the greatest WrestleMania opening match. Bret Hart against Owen Hart at WrestleMania 10. That might be good material for a watch-along. Plus, you got the ladder match, too. Shawn and Razor. Allie wants to know, could Ron Simmons have had a bigger run in WWF? Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. '21 is better than 19. Look, everybody has their own opinions on the different WrestleManias. It's all very subjective. But the consistent opinion is that WrestleMania 17, top to bottom, is the greatest WrestleMania of all time. And I would be hard-pressed to disagree, although I really enjoyed WrestleMania 30. And maybe it was that I was there for it as well. Maybe that helped a little bit being in the building that night. 30 is one of the better shows they've ever done, WrestleMania-wise. All right, good shit. Thank you, guys. Come on back here on Wednesday because we're going to be talking AEW Dynamite. We might be talking about the debut of a certain someone on that show. We'll see if it happens. There's so many rumors going around about it. I'm not going to say for sure that it's going to happen, but it's looking pretty good. If you missed it, tons of content here on the channel. Please go back and check it out. There's a review for the Iron Claw movie. Of course, my interview with MJF from a couple of weeks ago is up. If you missed that, that's up. But last year's stream, we went over 4 hours including predictions. I talked about Chris Jericho. I talked about Kevin Dunn, Andrade, whole bunch of different stuff. And we rang in the new year together. My World's End review as well from Saturday night, running down the entire pay-per-view. And keep your eyes out because tomorrow, at some point later tomorrow afternoon, I will have a video going up on the channel with my preview and predictions for New Japan Wrestle Kingdom. Wrestle Kingdom 18 is coming up on Thursday morning at the Tokyo Dome. So I will have a preview and predictions for that show up on this channel tomorrow afternoon. So be sure to check that out. Uffman says he will be at Dynamite this Wednesday and will report into us. Please do. Please do. Check in and let me know what's going on there in the building. All right, I'll see you guys on Wednesday night. Be well. Stay safe. Happy New Year. And we'll do it all over again for Dynamite on Wednesday. Peace.